Welcome to the Happy Stack podcast, where we explore the science and strategies behind creating a happier, more fulfilling life. I'm Terri-Ann Richards, and I partner with organizations to address the root causes of burnout, disengagement, and stress, equipping leaders and teams with the tools they need to thrive, both organizationally and personally. Each episode, we dive into practical habits, insights, and strategies to help high performers like you level up from the inside out. Let's get stacking. Hey there, Happy Stackers. Welcome back to the Happy Stack podcast. I'm your host, Terri-Ann Richards, and today we're going to dive into something that I think is going to resonate with you in a really big way. What I want to talk about is being Flawsome. Yes, you heard that right. I said Flawsome. It's this beautiful blend of being flawed and awesome at the same time. And let me tell you, embracing this concept has been life-changing in my leadership journey. Okay, I want you to think about this for a second. How much energy do you spend trying to hide your imperfections? Those little quirks, those perceived weaknesses, those parts of yourself that you think might make you seem less professional or less capable as a human and as a leader. You see, I've been there. For years, I walked around with this, let's call it a heavy mask, trying to project this image of perfection. And you know what? It was exhausting. And here's the thing. What if the very imperfections that we are trying to hide are actually our superpowers in disguise? See, I remember years ago, I was facilitating a workshop, and I was so concerned. Now, this is many moons ago when I was a little bit younger and very impressionable, and I was trying to play a part, if you will. I was facilitating this leadership workshop, and I was so concerned about being perceived as a professional that I completely stifled my natural energy and my natural humor. The result? A workshop that I suppose in a lot of ways was technically sound. It had the info, but it lacked the spark, that connection. Fast forward to when I finally decided to just be me when I did workshops, which if you've ever been in a training or, sat in an audience when I do a keynote, I've got quirky sayings, sometimes the occasional swear word, I make up phrases, and all of these different things that I bring to the room. And suddenly, the engagement in those rooms completely transformed. People were not just listening, they were connecting, they were leaning in. And that changed the trajectory of me as a presenter, as a trainer, but it also changed the trajectory of how much information people were actually learning from me. And you're probably asking yourself, well, why? Why does that work? Well, it's because authenticity is magnetic. It gives other people permission to also be themselves. In my book, Success Takes Courage, I talk about how loving yourself, flaws and all, is one of the 3 keys to true success. Actually, true story. Not too long ago, I actually wrote a book for kids called Levi the Unicorn. And I think the first book was called Adventures in Self-Love. And it actually speaks all about this concept of being flawsome. It's not a fluffy concept, right? It's not this self-help concept that is all woo-woo. It literally is a strategic advantage in leadership. Think about the soil and the flower for a minute. If a flower is not blooming, do you blame the flower? No. You look at the soil, you look at the environment, and you look at the conditions. Well, the same goes for you in your leadership. Your flaws are not the problem. How you perceive those flaws and work with them is in the solution. Let me call out the elephant in the room. We're living in this Instagram filtered world where everyone's showing their highlight reel. And as leaders, we feel this immense pressure to have it all figured out, to never show weakness, and to be these perfect decision-making machines. But that's not the reality. And if I'm being honest, it's certainly not sustainable. The most respected leaders I know, the ones who really inspire their teams, they are not the ones who pretend to be perfect. They're the ones who own their mistakes, who share their learning journeys, who show up as a full human. I had a client once, let's call her Sarah, who was so afraid of being seen as too emotional in her executive role that she completely disconnected from her natural empathy. She thought being a strong leader meant being stoic and detached. But when we worked together to help her embrace her natural emotional intelligence as a strength rather than a weakness, her team's engagement scores skyrocketed. Why? Because people don't follow perfect leaders. They follow authentic ones. Now, I'm not saying you should let it all hang out without any filters. There is a difference between being authentic and being unprofessional. What I am saying is that there's an incredible power in owning who you are. Flawsome. Maybe you're naturally analytical and sometimes get lost in all the details. We all know that person. Hey, maybe you are that person. And instead of seeing that as a flaw, what if you recognized it as a superpower for spotting potential issues before they become problems? Or maybe you're more intuitive and sometimes make decisions based on that gut feeling and intuition rather than just data. That also is not a weakness. That's a valuable perspective that can lead to innovative solutions. So how do we actually do this? How do we become flawsome leaders? First, take inventory. What are those things about yourself that you've been trying to hide or change? Write them down, every single one of them. Next, for each one, ask yourself, is this truly a quirk or a flaw? Or is it something more? Is it something that maybe needs to change? For instance, myself, my risk tolerance is a quirk at times. It allows me to step into opportunities that others might shy away from, but without some structure, it can also lead me into dangerous territory. So I don't need to eliminate it, I just need to channel it wisely. Next, for you, I want you to find the positive in each of your quirks. What's the flip side of that coin? How might this perceived weakness actually be serving you in the positive? Remember, you are not, nor am I, a one-dimensional person. We are complex, multifaceted, and beautifully imperfect. And that's exactly what makes us effective as leaders. You see, when you embrace your flawsome self, you create space for others to do the same. You build teams where people feel safe to innovate, to take risks, to bring their whole self to work. And that, my friends, is where the magic happens. So, my challenge. This week, I challenge you to be a little more flawsome. Let one of those quirks shine through. See what happens when you lead with authenticity rather than perfection. I'd love to hear how it goes. Drop me a message on LinkedIn. These days, that's definitely my playground. Or leave a comment on this episode. Until next time, keep stacking that happiness, embrace your flawsome self, and remember, peace, love, and grit. Hey, thanks for listening to the Happy Stack podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who could use a little extra happiness in their life. Let's keep stacking those wins together. See you next time.